story. You kids listen very carefully. So, I got this friend. His actual birth name is Erwin Whitridge Thomas. He was born in New York City. And when he was 2 or 3, his dad died. His dad's name was Jack. And his mother and his older brother lived for a while in New Jersey. And then they moved to Australia, to the south part of Victoria, where I'm from, which is in the southeast part of Australia. And his mother remarried a guy called something Jones. And then they had another little boy. So that was Jack's stepbrother. But he got named Jack because that's his dad's name. So rather than have his younger brother Marley be embarrassed at school with a different name, he decided to take on the name of his stepfather. So he became known as Jack Jones. Does that make sense? I'm totally shocked, but thank you for being on a track with that. So Jack grew up in Gippsland, and all he did was play the guitar. That's the way he dissolved his pain and how he wanted to get in life. He just played the guitar. So by the time he was a young teenager, people were just freaking out and inviting him to play on stage with guys that were 25, 30, because he was so good. And then he joined this band that became quite huge in Australia. You would have never heard of him, but for a while he was a pretty big deal. And it was about that time that I met him, because I had been going out with this girl who was kind of a movie star, and he married her. But he liked me because I never even kissed her or hugged her. I just went on about 8 dates, and I was totally... You know when you meet a guy and he married the girl you went out with, and you feel good, you know, just, hey, I just went out on dates, I didn't, nothing. So Jack and I became pretty good friends, and he was this big profile musician, and I was pretty much a nobody. But he would have me open for him, and people were like, who's that guy? And it was great fun. Jack and I became great friends, and all we really ever seemed to talk about was religion. Now Jack's not a believer in Jesus. He still isn't. He lives in New York City now. And we're still great friends 20 odd years later. He's still one of my closest friends. But he is not a believer in Jesus, and I helped him discover that. Because I got so sick of how tolerant he was for everything. Oh, Buddha's cool, God's cool, Jesus is cool. Man, you got to pick something. Like, you can't just be cool with everything. You got to choose something. And so I helped him discover that he really didn't believe in God. But I was trying to draw out what he did believe. And so this story, this song takes place in a vehicle. Now, Jack's favourite word in the English language is the F-bomb. I'm not going to go on about it too much because I know we got kids here, but it was like 20 times a minute, 30 times a minute, favourite word ever. And I got so used to it, I never heard it anymore. And you could call me a backslider. Now, that's better. You could call me a backslider, you could call me whatever you want, but I just didn't hear it anymore. And so when I invited Jack to be the guitar player on a tour that I was doing, I just didn't think for a second that there was going to be a cultural clash, because I just didn't think of it. But this story takes place in a car heading to a show, and this was about the 5th show, Jack was kind of picking up on the God language as well. So he would say sentences like, man, and a song about the cross, that really made me cry last night, man, that's cool. And that's not what Christians are used to hearing. And I just didn't think of it because I just known him for so long, I just never heard that. But I was sitting in the car, and I remember the 2 pastors that were driving just went... And I was in the middle of the car thinking, oh, this is not good. And I knew, you know, I was kind of trying to be sensitive to Jack, but these guys were my friends too. And then at one point, Jack asked if he could put on this CD, and it was a CD that I'd given him for his birthday, but it had some pretty foul language on it. But he loved it so much I thought I'd buy it for him. And so I knew that in the first chorus of the first song was this particularly gross word. And so I tried to grab the CDs that went past, and the guys put it on thinking anything to get this guy to stop cussing at the back seat. So they put it on, I'm counting seconds down, 4, 3, 2, and I'm like, this is going to be bad. And it comes on, and the 2 guys in the front, you know, close friends of mine, by the way, I don't want to bag them either, but they started to give him a lecture on holiness. And I'm trying to say, you know, he doesn't believe, we just invited, I couldn't get a word in, and Jack just kind of got quiet. So at the end of the trip, he got out of the car, and I went up to the guys in the front. I'm like, everything okay? And they're like, no. If I mean, if we'd known what kind of band you were, we never would have brought you with us. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, it's completely my fault. I said, you know, he's not a Christian. I don't know why you would assume that if someone's with me, that means they believe what I believe. I mean, do you only have one type of friend? I mean, I didn't know whether I should sanitize him or not. I didn't know what to do. I mean, last time I checked, we were meant to sort of change from the inside out. And I said, I don't know. And they said, okay, fair enough. So I came back to Nashville, and I basically snuck this song on my record because I had a feeling like my record company wouldn't let me put it on the record. So I actually recorded it in secret. So bad, really, unethical even. And I recorded it in secret, and at the last minute gave it to the producer, and he said he put it on the record. So the first time the guys at the label heard it was when it came out. It was so bad. Don't do that, kids. But I felt like I was using my powers for good, not evil. And so the very first time I played this song to Jack was on my couch in Melbourne, and he started crying halfway through. He just loved it so much, and at the end I said, what do you think? And he goes, it's beautiful, man. So he's still one of my close friends, and tonight, if you're a person who's a Christian, on the way home tonight, I just want you to send up a prayer for Jack. Just that he would believe that music comes from God, that all things come from God, and what he's really looking for in his life is actually God. I'd ask that you would pray for him, because he's seriously, you would just fall in love with this guy. With 2 minutes with him, he's just one of those human beings. He is the most delightful, beautiful guy. I love him. He's so like, you know those people, your friends you've got, they don't try and fix you, they just listen, but they say things like, man, do you have any idea how much I love you? I know you're going through a tough time right now, but you're a keeper, man, just hang in there. And it's not patronising, it's just, he's that guy. So that's the thing that's hard for Jack, is that he's such a nice guy without God. I don't have that. Like, without God, I'm total, yeah, insert that word. All right. So this song's called My Brother Jack. It's for you, my friend, as per requested. As per requested. I don't think that's the right grammar. Doesn't matter. I'm going to hide it.